Really? It's just a Final Fantasy 16 showcase? I never would have guessed that. But that was the game that I was most excited for by far. There's still the other trailers that I haven't seen from Final Fantasy 16. I think the last one I saw was either Ambition or Revenge. I can't remember which one it was, but if this really is just a Final Fantasy 16 showcase, it's well worth the show in my opinion. But it explains why the entire stream is only 40 minutes long. I thought it was a little strange that it was so short. Oh, it's all, oh, got it. Okay, let's see if that fixed the problem. All right. Can you hear me now? Make sure that my mic is working appropriately this time around. Okay, let's see if that fixed the problem. All right. Can you hear me now? Make sure that my mic is working appropriately this time around. Now I actually moved my my setup to 60 frames per second at 1080 right now, so I think this is a good experiment to try and see if, you know, things maintain a stable flow. If it does, we'll see how it works out with like games like Bloodborne and stuff like that later down the line. Oh, okay, let's get ready for the show. Now I actually moved my my setup to 60 frames per second at 1080 right now, so I think this is a good.
Hello everyone, this is Naoki Yoshida, producer of Final Fantasy XVI.
Oh, no
Welcome
captions.
to the State of Play. Today, I'm here to talk a little bit about the story, world, and combat system of Final Fantasy XVI, as well as reveal all new information regarding the game's wide variety of RPG elements and support systems. We'll be talking you through everything while using never-before-seen gameplay footage running on the PlayStation 5. I hope you'll stay with us until the end of the show and enjoy everything we have in store for you.
I do think it's interesting. Oh, that's right. I gotta reduce my screen size real quick here. There we go. I do think it's interesting that they are running almost everything on the next gen consoles right now, instead of like PC or something of the sort.
You are key to this mission's success.
Yes, Sergeant.
I said focus, Wyvern.
For a minute there, I kind of stopped and thought, like, am I playing the game right now? Because when your character stands still for an extended period of time, it's like, oh, that's when you realize the cutscene came to an end.
Final Fantasy XVI is the latest installment in the Final Fantasy series, a storied franchise with 35 years of history. Yet while this is the 16th,
the combat in this game reminds me of Devil May Cry a little bit, like Nero's like gameplay system of Devil May Cry.
With a fusion of real-time action and RPG features, Final Fantasy XVI has been developed as the first true action RPG in the series.
Okay. I wouldn't say it's the first, though, technically. I mean, Final Fantasy VII Remake kind of was that going forward.
Experience, which we liken to a high-speed roller coaster ride.
Oh, so you can play as summons in this game. Good, I'm glad to hear that the audio is appropriate now. So you can play as like Ifrit and maybe like other ones too. I wonder if this game's gonna actually be tough, though. That's the big question I'm wondering. Is this gonna be a hard game? Are the boss fights really gonna feel difficult in any capacity? The spectacle's important. You know, the spectacles are cool and all, but you also gotta have a really good good feel and feel like you actually beat something. That's my biggest gripe with Final Fantasy 15 in general, is that 15 had the boss fights in the game were really easy. Really easy.
The protagonist of our story is Clive Rosfield, and his journey takes place in the realm of Valisthea. We follow the epic tale of Clive, Shield of the Grand Duchy of Rosaria, as it unfolds across 3 distinct periods in our hero's life: his teens, 20s, and 30s.
Really? His whole youth. We get to cover his whole youth. That's actually really cool. I like that. This game has a little bit of... This game's got a much more mature vibe, I'm noticing, too.
A fully playable flashback will allow you to experience the pivotal events that shaped his past and present.
Okay. It reminds me a little bit of, if you've ever seen Final Fantasy Tactics. It reminds me a bit of that. In terms of, like, story and lore and world building. A very mature world. Combat looks fantastic, though. Oh, he's got like a downward stab move. Oh, so he must be... So my best interpretation is that, like, these people have, like, Ifrit and all the other summons inside of them. He must be Phoenix, and then I'm guessing your character plays Ifrit. Holy shit. That was brutal. Alright, we got ourselves a look at the menu.
Navigation in Final Fantasy XVI is driven via a world map, with locations being added and updated as players progress through the main narrative. The world map can be opened at any time, allowing players access to all manner of locations across Valisthea. Here, players will meet new friends, encounter formidable foes, and uncover great and wondrous mysteries.
I've been playing the Final Fantasy games since the original 7th. I became a huge fan. The original Final Fantasy 7 game taught me at such a young, impressionable age that I became a big fan, and I've been following it since. But I love this new direction they're going with the Final Fantasy games, kind of blending action RPG into its world, because the biggest thing that was great about the Final Fantasy games were its world building. I mean, look at the fucking architecture in this game. The world building is just really beautiful. That's because I'm a giant fucking nerd. My dad used to, like, tell me stories of the Lord of the Rings stuff, so I've got a soft spot for, like, dark fantasy. Dark fantasy or any kind of fantasy in general.
The combat of Final Fantasy XVI. All the battles in the game take place in real time and are not turn-based.
Okay.
As Clive progresses through the story, he will learn a wide array of exciting abilities from the icons that he encounters. Now, let's take a moment.
Oh, wow, they even have
Clive
time strikes.
in action.
And that's a common complaint. You weren't alone in that feeling of, like, not being able to get into turn-based combat. You were definitely not alone in that. I always introduce people, because I have a lot of friends that are not into gaming, but they want to get into it, but they suck at handling twin sticks on a controller, or, you know, because they don't have the dexterity since they never practiced it for that extended period of time. So I always recommend to them, start with a JRPG. It's the easiest game to learn how to play. You don't need much dexterity. All you need to know is just use your brain. Just use your problem-solving skills. Ah, the action in this game looks crazy. See, this looks like straight out of Devil May Cry. That looks like some shit you'd see from Virgil. Oh, I see that he's switching weapons on the bottom right. Damn! Oh, I love the creativity. There's a lot of like combat creativity, combo creativity that you can do.
The abilities that Clive wields have unique characteristics depending on the icon they are derived from. Players can use ability points collected by defeating enemies to unlock more abilities or upgrade existing ones.
So this is our progression system. Now the big thing about like
decide which iconic ability to unlock or upgrade.
the big thing about games like this is that a lot of times they give you a pretty limited amount of progression, so it doesn't take you very long to max everything out. I'm hoping that's not the case in this game.
Final Fantasy 16 includes a range of timely accessories to provide support to those players who may not be so skilled at action games, bringing them a truly enjoyable experience. Players are encouraged to equip Clive with different combinations of these accessories until they find the one that perfectly matches their own playstyle.
Yep, player freedom. Give players freedom. That's good.
A combination I can particularly recommend to those who may struggle with action gameplay is the Ring of Timely Focus and the Ring of Timely Strikes. This combination allows players to unleash a wide array of different techniques just by pressing a single attack button, as well as shifting into a window of slow motion whenever Clive is about to be hit by an attack.
Ah, that's
giving them a
cool.
little extra time to hit R1 and evade.
That's actually a great idea, because what that does is that it allows you to like. It's not just that you're not good at action games. You may have like a a reaction time issue. You don't have to rely on reaction as heavily, which means that the game's gonna have a pretty strict timing in this. That was straight out of Devil May Cry. That was straight out of Devil May Cry. They have that exact move in Devil May Cry 3, 4, and 5.
Focus mode before starting a new game. In this mode, timely accessories are automatically equipped from the start, allowing players to immerse themselves in the narrative experience without having to worry too much with the action.
That's good. That's great, because like people like my wife, for example, or friends that I know that are not great at action games or great at video games in general, they can enjoy it. They can have fun. I can talk with them about it.
Many characters along his journey who will join him as friends and allies.
I love the challenge, though. So I really hope that this game is still going to be challenging. That's the big thing I'm concerned about. I want this game to be tough. If they have an option to make the game, easier for newer players, that's great. Just make sure there's a challenging aspect to it as well. Give me the choice to make it challenging.
Jill, a friend from Clive's youth.
It really is.
Such encounters and reunions will set Clive on a path of great personal growth.
It is.
Clive!
Some of these companions will even accompany Clive on his adventures,
Midnight
fighting
Raven.
alongside him and finding lots to talk about along the way. That said, players will only need
Now,
to
unlike in
focus on
other
controlling
Final
Clive.
Fantasy games, you
Party
usually
members
control
are
multiple
fully AI
characters.
driven,
It looks like in this one, you
providing
only
support for the
control
hero
one.
and constantly adapting and responding to his actions.
Control, It looks that way. I noticed that the demo, or not the demos, the boss fights for this game look pretty long, and I think this has become a new trend now since Final Fantasy VII Remake. How they have like bosses have multiple phases. You have to like work your way through each phase of the boss
And
battle.
we cannot forget Torgal.
I'll go.
Strong and fiercely loyal hound, Torval is always by Clive's side and willing to stand by him in the face of whatever cruel fate.
People
may befall.
love animal companions. You send an animal companion in an RPG, you're gonna win big with most players. People love animal companions.
Just don't forget to give this good boy some treats every now and then.
Guarantee it, like a bunch of streamers are screaming about that.
But none will...
Don't fret about Karen. I've taken care of her fee.
All of it?
She's the best healer this side of the belt. You've nothing to worry about. Go, have a look around. I'll be in my solo.
After progressing somewhat through the game, Clive will gain access to Sid's hideaway.
Okay. I do have a little complaint about the voice acting. The voice acting has a bit of like a microphony feel. Like you can tell that they're speaking through a microphone.
Such as potions.
Which I can tolerate, but I do think that is the
Highly
case.
skilled blacksmith works the hideaway's forge. Bring in materials to craft new gear or upgrade existing items. After upgrading your equipment or unlocking new abilities, try accessing the Arete Stone.
Oh, they have a training mode in a Final Fantasy game?
Here, players
What?
can
Is this
enter
a fighting
virtual
game all of a
training
sudden?
area outside the bounds of time and space, where they are free to refine and practice combos.
I've
of
never
their
seen
own.
an FF game ever have something like this before.
Once you're confident in your skills, try your hand at arcade mode and see how your scores stack
An
up against
arcade
players from
mode?
around the world. The hideaway is home to a lot of other features as well.
Yeah, I agree. They do need to add some filters to
Not
the
only will players
mics.
discover a variety of side quests here, but they can also view information on quests offered all around Valisthea.
I'm loving the artistic style of this game, though. It reminds me a lot of Damascus and the other Final Fantasy games, where it's got like this kind of desert feel, but very like, medieval. Not medieval. It's not the word I'm looking for. There's a different word. That's a cool design.
Mid. When did you get back?
Kind of Western. That's the word I'm looking for. Like medieval Western kind of feel a little bit, which is kind of what like a Final Fantasy games of that era kind of try to go for. This one seems to get it just right. So they still got,
Visit the
you can
Hunt
hunt
Court to
down,
gain information on
hunt down bounties.
fearsome foes lurking about the realm in desperate need of slaying. The Moogle will be your guide.
So they clearly moved this from Final Fantasy 15, because that was a huge success in Final Fantasy 15. That was probably one of the best elements of Final Fantasy 15 is hunting down monsters and kind of working your way through the bounties. That was a great system.
There's also Lordesman Harpocrates, who will unlock Valisthea's secrets as Clive recounts tales of his adventures.
So what? He's like telling this old man his stories? This old man starts telling other people about it, spreading his legend?
Tones?
Here for another of my lectures.
And Vivian Ninetails,
What is it that you
a
wish
scholar
to
and
learn?
strategist who will be
Here's the
more
latest
than happy
information
to
I have.
explain to Clive the current state of the realm and provide information on key
It's a
players.
glossary.
There are all kinds of interactions and features in the hideaway to help players get even more enjoyment out of their time with Final Fantasy
It's
XVI.
ever changing, Clive.
So my best interpretation of the story is that it looks like there are 4 factions, each with their own gods, and they're at war with each other.
Travels, Clive will encounter a wide array of fearsome
Malboro.
foes.
And that's a crazy design for a Malboro. More veiny. It's even more fleshy too, instead of planty. I'm really digging this combat system. It looks great. It's got plenty of impact too. Whoa, that mocap. Cinematic clash. Damn! These cinematics are... Did he just Asuna drop him? Someone's been playing Ninja Gaiden.
Clash with the dominants who wield the power of the icons.
That's Titan there. Dude, this game looks amazing.
Colossal beasts who hold the surrounding lands under their sway.
Arakish dragon.
Mysterious constructs of the fallen. A civilization shrouded in mystery.
There's so many different boss fights. They're showing this many boss fights already? I'm a little concerned that they're showing this much. They might spoil the whole game. Liquid Flame. I like how every boss fight is unique. It's totally different. What a cool design too. If I didn't know that, you know, your character plays Zefrit, I would have thought that that was Ifrit. Barnabas. Dude, this animation.
Don't forget the icons themselves.
Infernal Econ.
Experience unparalleled real-time action combat as Clive takes command of the iconic might coursing through his veins and shatters his very limits.
Got it. So he is Ifrit. And he takes control of
The
Ifrit.
shining point of Final Fantasy XVI, however, has to be the breathtaking icon versus icon battles.
What? This is what makes all the other Final Fantasy games. This one differ from all the other Final Fantasy games. Boss on boss battle. You can play as Phoenix even. Damn, this game is stunning.
Confrontations all play out in real time, allowing players to control their very own icon with their own hands.
No shit.
These battles differ depending on the icon encountered.
Ramlethal.
And every showdown
Or not Ramlethal.
right down to
Rama.
gameplay. Players will experience everything from a 3D scrolling shooter to a heavyweight wrestling match with devastating attacks.
Oh, that
encompass
is
the
a
entire
badass
battlefield.
description of that. A heavyweight wrestling match? That's fucking cool.
These massive scale boss battles are entirely seamless, and I can promise you heart-stopping, controller-gripping excitement.
Oh, that's cool.
Can't wait for you to get your hands on the game for yourself.
Dude! These animations.
Nice trick. But if you can do it, then so could I!
Or Brimstone. So you control more than just one summon, you play multiple ones. I'm not gonna lie, the shooting gallery one looks a little odd to me, but it's not bad. This one's definitely really out of the norm for Final Fantasy games. Damn! What is this game? Typhon. Now that's a boss. That's a summon you don't see every day in the Final Fantasy games. That's a really rare one. I mean, he's in plenty of them, but he's usually kind of like a secret one. Oh, dude, these animations. Holy shit. Which boss is that? That's Titan. Staggered. They had the stagger mechanic from the other Final Fantasy games. Cinematic flash. Oh ho, ho. Dude! Why is the damage so high in this
everyone,
game?
What did you think? Thank you for taking the time to join us today. Final Fantasy 16 will be available worldwide June 22nd.
Instead of like capping the damage at 9,999, they just said fuck the cap, let's go up to 2 million.
And more. We hope to bring you more on these aspects of the game in the near future.
If this guy's the guy that's in charge of this game, this is gonna make his career if it turns out to be a big success.
Final Fantasy 16's main theme was written and performed by one of Japan's greatest recording artists, Kenshi Yonezu. We've still got a lot more in store for you in the coming weeks, and I hope you'll all pre-order the game and join us in Valisthea on release day. This has been Naoki Yoshida, producer of Final Fantasy 16. See you again soon.
16プロデューサーの吉田でした。
All right, I'm pretty sure that's the end of the video. That looked fantastic. That looks so good. I'm very impressed. I am so impressed. This stuff looks incredible. The visual, like, fidelity and the animations look just jaw-dropping to me. I don't think I've seen something so damn pretty. I mean, the architecture is already really beautiful, but and the worlds already look beautiful, but I'm impressed that they have such like ambitious ideas for this game. It's really exciting. It's really exciting. The combat in the game just looks really slick too. I'm also noticing we're playing as another character right here, and it's quite possible that we probably only play that character in the beginning of the game, like the catalyst that sets off these things into motion. Unless we are playing two different characters, but they didn't say that. It said that we're playing one character throughout much of his early teens to 20s to 30s. Oops. There we go. Yes, I am aware that the Street Fighter 6 showcase is next week. I will be doing the same thing again. I will be trying to stream the stream if I can, depending on whether or not my internet allows me to at that moment. But if it does allow me to, I will stream it on that time. Otherwise, I will be streaming its playback. But I'm very excited because there's a lot of news breaking out right now. There's also what I was thinking about doing is actually I am gonna do it. I am gonna go through a bunch of the trailers for Tekken 8 real soon here. That's another fighting game that I'm really excited for. Let's see here. So we got Ling Xiao Yu, Leroy Smith, Asuka Kazama, Martial Law. That's fake. A lot of people putting a lot of fake stuff out there right now. Who else do we got? Got June, Lars, I think that's all of them, right? After Paul. Yeah. Yeah. If you were a Nintendo 64 kid, I was curious, what were the games that you were playing at the time when you were jumping on the N64? I don't know if you played any of the like true classics, like, you know, everyone's probably played Mario 64, you know, Star Fox, GoldenEye, stuff like that. But did you play any RPGs at all when you were playing on N64? I don't know if they even had any turn-based RPGs at all or anything of the sort. But boy, man, this game is fucking pretty. I bet this game looks really, really pretty on 4K. You got a 4K monitor with a 4K setup. I bet this game looks just fantastic. I'm glad to hear that you like the Zelda background music. I took some time to look for something that's nice and chill. This landscape though, man, like the world is so fucking pretty, man. I remember there was a time when there was Japanese developers back in the 2010s were really struggling to come up with a creative solution for their RPGs and just also their general single player games. There was a big drought of creative single player Japanese games for an extended period of time. And what I mean by that is that like Final Fantasy games definitely took a big dip. I think this was back in the era of like Final Fantasy I think it's 13 that didn't quite work out too well. There were also a lot of issues revolving around many other like studios at the time. Like Capcom was notoriously having some serious struggles with a lot of their IPs as well. And it looks like a lot of the Japanese studios have really like got a lot of new leadership, or at the very least a lot more creative with their approaches and a more clear envisionment of what they want their games to be, and it really seems to be translating incredibly well. I'm very excited to see these kinds of games because they look dope as shit. That is such a fucking cool combination. He lifted him in the air with a fucking geyser of ice and then straight Virgil slashed him down. What in the fuck? These combinations, man, these gameplay combinations. There's so much freedom here. Damn, they kind of ripped that off from Devil May Cry as well with the Nero's giant beam, but I don't give a shit. It looks great. It looks fantastic. Mario 64, Ocarina of Time, Wave Race, Star Fox, etc. Ocarina of Time was an amazing game. I loved that game when I had access to it, because I I didn't have an N64, but my friends did. So I always found an excuse to go out and hang out with them. So we'd either play, you know, I usually watch them play, and every once in a while they let me play Ocarina of Time. But I watched them play a lot of that. I also would play a bit of Wipeout with them from time to time. So that was a lot of fun. But I think... And I did play a bit of Majora's Mask as well on the N64, but I didn't get very far in it because I never could make it through the third day because I would always get stuck on figuring it out. And I was like a wee little lad, you know, I was tiny, so I couldn't, you know, problem solve at the time. I definitely didn't have the time to problem solve too either, and I didn't have the patience as a child. I'm sure I could figure it out now. I'm guessing Ocarina, when you had access to it, you were like a young man, you were a young boy, and it had that immediate impression on you, right? Where it's like that game that hits so deep into your nostalgia that like you'll never get bored of the game because it was at such a magical time in your life. That's kind of what it was for me, like with Final Fantasy VII. As dated as Final Fantasy VII is, I can still replay the game. I can still enjoy it because not just the nostalgia, but like it has that emotional attachment that comes with it, and how I can still feel like I'm enjoying that same process all over again. I can relive those memories and relive those emotions, all those things that comes with nostalgia. So one of the things I'm noticing here on what the gameplay focuses is that there's 2 more slots at the bottom, or not slots, but 2 more empty spaces that could be for possibly additional difficulty. If that's the case, I would really like that. I beat Majora's Mask as a kid. I enjoyed it because it was different. Yeah, that's typically most of the consensus for a lot of people that played Majora's Mask because it was such a unique game. People loved its different approach to gaming in general, and its different ideas, and the idea that you're playing on a time limit really like crafted a lot of creative problem solving as well. But I think I remember most was the game scaring the shit out of me as a child. I was scared of that game a little bit. There's some creepy things in the game. I remember I really liked it, but I was pretty into Ocarina of Time when I had access to it. But most of my exposure with RPG games was with Final Fantasy. They were my childhood games. I played the shit out of 7 and 8. I know 9 is a bit of a fan favorite for a lot of people, but I just couldn't quite get into it because I wasn't really into the world. It was a little bit too fairy tale-ish for me. But 10 is like one of my favorite teenager Final Fantasy games. I had that when I was like 15 or something like that, or even younger. I don't remember, maybe 14, whatever the year it came out. And I loved it. Absolutely fucking loved it. One of the things I'm really liking is this game's presentation. Like the animations are not just beautiful, but they feel like they're very there's this cinematography that's going on in the game that feels very like almost like a TV show, like an epic adventure that you're watching on a TV series. And they get all these cool shots where it matters. I was only scared of Resident Evil as a kid. Still play and beat them scared. Yeah, they're incredible games. I played all the Resident Evils. I've not played all the Resident Evils. I've not played Resident Evil Remake. I've not played Resident Evil 6. I've not played Resident Evil... No, I played Resident Evil 6. I have not played Resident Evil 7. I've not played Resident Evil Village yet. So these are games I still have yet to play and experience. I do plan on playing them on stream at some point in time, but we'll move to that eventually. But yeah. I'm sure you'll get a kick out of watching me like lose my shit because I hear that Resident Evil Village is crazy scary. And a lot of fun. So, but I do plan on going through more of the Resident Evil games at some point in time. But start with my priorities at the moment and start with a couple of these games at first. Yes, I am going to play Resident Evil 4 Remake. The only reason why I'm putting off purchasing the game and putting off playing it is because I do plan on playing this game on stream. So the initial reason why I started streaming in the first place was I realized that I was missing out on a ton of single player games that I wanted to play, like Sekiro, Elden Ring, all the single player games that I really wanted to play because I was investing a lot of time into playing my fighting games for my channel. So I found a compromise that I think works best for me, which is I want to play all my single player games on my stream and eventually move my fighting games into the stream too. Like I'll do the single player content for Street Fighter 6 on the stream, but I'll also do some online matches as well and see how that works out over a period of time. But I definitely want to focus the stream channel to work on single player content that I never got around to playing, and that I always had to keep kicking down the line. So you'll be getting a lot of chances to see me like have a first time genuine reaction to a lot of those games. But yes, I even own Elden Ring. I still own Red Dead Redemption. I haven't even played Red Dead Redemption. I haven't taken it out of its package yet. Like I have the game, I just haven't played it. Oh, that's right. I loaned it to a friend. I don't have Red Dead Redemption 2 anymore because I loaned it to a family member and they fucking lost it. That's right. I totally forgot about that. Oh, my wife looked at me with this like the most like nasty smile in the world, and she's like, "You don't have it anymore." It's like that moment in a horror movie where you realize you fucked up. Oh, that's right, and you even bought it for me. My wife bought that game for me, and her brother ended up losing the game in the process. Yeah. Oh my god. I don't know why the irony never sat in until now. That's hilarious. Oh my god. Yeah, we'll have to buy it again. It'll be cheaper this time around. Hopefully. Should be. But yeah, if I'm done with or when I'm done with Bloodborne, I'll get around to playing more of those other games. From the very beginning of Bloodborne, I always believe you wanted to learn how to stream because you wanted to stream Street Fighter 6. It makes perfect sense to me. Yeah, I mean, I do want to, learn how to stream for that game as well, but it's also many other games as well. The original reason really did stem off from the idea that I was just missing out on a ton of single player games. And originally, if you look early on my channel originally started as a Let's Play channel, of creating content and then editing it through for single player reasons. However, what ended up happening is that I found out that the time consumption of editing a video, as much as I enjoyed it, it was too time consuming while working a full-time job. It definitely made it very difficult. So I decided to focus on multiplayer instead going forward to try to make it tenable, to try to make it work. I started noticing some growth in my channel after I switched my priorities a little bit and kind of focused on doing what I wanted to do a little bit more, and kind of trying to focus more on a more simple format for now, because right now I can't invest my entire life into my channel because it's not large enough right now. But for now, what I can do is that I can invest in the areas that I can take the time and energy into. So I try to shift my priorities a little bit. That is definitely happening. I'm definitely going to be streaming Street Fighter 6 too. along with many other games too. And the funny thing is that I was really hesitant about the idea of streaming, to be honest. I was really nervous about like being able to even pull it off and feel comfortable doing it. The funny thing is I'm feeling more comfortable with the stream than I am with the recording process, because I get to interact with, you know, someone like you and have interactions in general. I'm starting to already get really comfortable with it. I just got to learn the ins and outs. Editing is the hardest part of this. It is. It really is. It really is. And I think, you know, because I noticed, Lou, that you're a content creator too, and I've seen a bit of your channel as well. I think it's nice that we're both content creators and we can watch each other's stuff. And it helps, I think it helps teach us both in the process. At least that's how I view it. We both can kind of participate in the learning process. Because, like, you know, it's like learning a fighting game, for example. The beginning is always the hardest part of participating in a fighting game, because you have no idea what the fuck you're doing. So it's a bit of trial by fire, and you have to kind of work your way through it. Jesus, and Ifrit looks crazy. That design looks insane. That means a lot, Blue. The fact that you're here supporting my stream and help me get more comfortable. I really appreciate that. And I also really value your feedback too, because I have no idea if whether the stream quality is working out really well, and you're very candid about whether or not it's working or not. And that makes it really easy to figure out what I'm doing right and wrong. So I appreciate the honesty and the support. So that's badass that you're doing that. And I'm hoping I'm producing some content that you enjoy. That's the biggest thing. You know, obviously everyone out there wants to be able to make money doing what they do, but for me, the big thing is I just want to be able to share and have fun. One of the big things is that, like, if I had like a job to do like trailers and shit like that and create hype, I would love to do shit like that. Unfortunately, that's not how things panned out, but you know, hype is like one of my favorite like emotional states of being. Like, I love feeling excited. And the funny thing is, like, a lot of times like showcases and trailers can be more exciting than the actual like product itself, like the video or the movie or the game. Sometimes the trailers can be 10 times more exciting than the actual game, just because of what's being presented is so fucking cool. It's, you know, looks cool. That's also a big question with this game, whether or not it's gonna play fantastic. We won't know until we get our hands on it, but you know, right now visually this game looks insane. Your skill with Ryu in Street Fighter 6 is what caught my attention. Well, I appreciate that. I'm glad. I'm not a seasoned vet when it comes to Street Fighter games. I started playing the Street Fighter games casually since Street Fighter 2 Alpha 3 is where I first started, which was a great game because of the World Tour mode in that. It kind of felt like an RPG mode, effectively. So I have experience with the Street Fighter games, but I never actually played competitively, nor did I actually really learn how to play the game. I just knew how to do the moves. I think I first started learning how to play a little bit micro competitively on Street Fighter 5, and I suck dick at fighting games. That's when I realized that was bad. When you actually start playing against real people. And through a lot of trial and error, a lot of mistakes, I started realizing how to play the games. But honestly, in my real assessment, when I think about how I actually got better at fighting games, it was a lot of the content creators that actually took the time to explain things. Like, I watched a lot of one of my favorite channels by far on YouTube is a channel called Core Gaming, and Core A does some great analysis about like how to think and analyze gameplay and the thought process about like gameplay design and fighting games. And once all that thought process kind of kicked in, that's where I started really understanding the science behind video games. Yeah, and I definitely will be streaming it. That's why you should stream it. If people see your gameplay, your channel should grow. I agree. As a matter of fact, I've already noticed some growth after these last couple of streams. Not a lot, but enough to get me motivated, and that's more than enough. You know, just 1 or 2 is more than enough to get me motivated. So I'll still always continue doing my video stuff and continue putting that out there, because I know for a lot of people out there that streaming is not for them. You know, watching streaming content is not for them. They prefer more bite-sized content. So what I plan to do with the channel eventually is cut pieces from like my stream and then release them out as YouTube shorts or full-length videos. Like this reaction to this thing, I'm definitely going to cut that as a full video and release that as a reaction video. And there's even a couple Bloodborne moments that I'm already cutting into shorts already. So, go right here. I want a cool screenshot. Find a really cool screenshot to leave it at for a little bit. Yeah, I'll just keep this going like this. Oh. Yeah, I'll just keep it going. Just to have something on the background moving. That's why you should stream it. If people see your gameplay, the more your channel should grow. And that is where I'm seeing this going already. And I will always continue to do recording content as well, just to keep editing. I will make that a priority as well. But I'm already very happy where things have gone so far. You know, my channel has been pretty small for the last several years. I'm not in a rush to make it a huge channel and to grow it into something like magnanimously huge, you know, anything ridiculous. I'm just, you know, looking for a small community and enjoy what we've seen. I've seen channels skyrocket with Street Fighter 6. A small content creator named Flawless Deck, who started this channel Street Fighter 6 and is already in the YPP, and he's goddamn good at the game. Yeah, and I can believe it. I definitely can believe it. He probably had access to both betas too, which is great for him. I'm really happy for him. I'm glad to see that there are plenty of channels that are growing from it, and I do actually anticipate my channel to grow substantially with Street Fighter 6. I do really believe that that will happen, so I am excited to see that. But like I said, you know, I'll take it little bits at a time, focus on little areas here and there. Street Fighter 6 is not the only game I'm looking closely at too. Tekken A has really caught my attention. I used to play Tekken so much. Yeah, I only got to play the second beta. I never played the first one. I mean, the second beta gave me 3 days, full on 3 days to get better at the game, which already puts me leagues ahead of vast majority of people that are going to be playing that game, because that game's going to be huge. Like, it's not just going to be huge for like competitive players or fighting game players. It's going to be huge on the casual scene too. Just people that are not even fighting game players, they'll fucking love that game. And I believe the major component of the reason why is just it's going to have a lot of content, like a lot of things to enjoy. There's a little bit of something It's not a little bit of something. There's a lot of something for everyone in some capacity or another. I have no experience with Tekken. What fighting games have you played? By out of curiosity, is most of your experience with the Street Fighter games? I recently fell out of Tekken back in Tekken 6, and I did play Tekken Tag 2 and purchased it on its day of release, but I actually never really stuck with it. And the reason why is because I didn't like Tekken Tag 2, and so I left. Like, I stopped playing the game after like 3 weeks, and then after that I was like done with Tekken. So I didn't bother with Tekken 7 when it released, and I, despite how many good things I heard about it, I never got back into it. And also I was broke as a joke back then, so I couldn't even afford to play games like that. And there were a lot of games that I did want to play at that time period, like for example Dragon Ball Fighter Z. I never got around to playing it because I didn't have the money. I was doing what I could to survive, so I had to skip out on certain fighting games. Same thing with Mortal Kombat X. I also didn't get to play that one either. So most of my experience with a lot of other fighting games was like these last probably like 6 or 7 years, where I've actually been able to have purchasing power to actually buy those games and actually get to experience them. And I think that's when I started getting better at fighting games too, the more exposure I had to them. Despite the fact that I grew up playing a lot of fighting games, like all those games that I mentioned before, I played them when I was when I was a child, but I never could comprehend what I was doing. So, and I didn't have any like community to be a part of, so no one got to teach me anything. Street Fighter 6 is the only modern fighting game I played. Before that, it was Street Fighter 2 back on the Super Nintendo. No shit, the Super Nintendo? Really? Damn, man. That's a big gap between them. But it's great that Street Fighter 6 ignited that desire to want to play a fighting game again. Currently, I'm having this idea in my mind about starting Tekken 7 on the channel on streaming as my first like fighting game streaming for now, till Street Fighter 6 comes out, and learning how to play the game and having the stream teaching me how to play, because I know how to play Tekken, but I only know how to play the game at the most rudimentary level. I don't know the basics. I know how to do combos, I know how to do things like, do some basic spacing control, but I don't really know actually how to play the game at a competent level. I'm not very confident at the game. So I've been thinking about like doing a stream where I will play Tekken 7, and then, when I lose, or even like in between matches, I'll put up on a video on the stream about like, this is how you learn how to play the game, and then kind of like have the stream be focused around this idea of like learning how to play Tekken 7 with this, with people that want to watch, so I can kind of learn how to do it too. I'm super casual with fighting games. Capcom nailed it with the marketing of Street Fighter 6 to casuals like me. Yeah, it is. It really is. It's a fantastic, like, I think it meets both worlds personally. I think it meets the casual need as well as the competitive need, because the game's got enough meat in its design to make you want to play the game at the competitive level. But the casual play, what it provides is that experience and that gameplay experience that is full of content that makes you feel like even if you're not good in these areas, you can invest time in other areas. Like, for example, let's say like you're doing great online on the league side and the rank side for all the way through gold, and then you make it to platinum, and suddenly you get your fucking ass curbed, stomped all over the place, and you lose motivation. Well, instead of hopping off the game, you can just go back to the single player content and enjoy that and invest time in the game still in that area. And that's, I think, where the game has really figured out what to do, because I think that a lot of fighting games have failed to focus on keeping people to keep playing their game. Like a lot of times, I notice it for myself too when I play games like King of Fighters 15 or even Virtua Fighter 5, despite it being my favorite fighting game of all time. I will stop playing the game after like so many demoralizing losses, and then I'll move off the game and play something else, because I can't invest the time in that game for something else, you know, instead of like going back into the match and losing more and getting further demoralized. I can now just invest that time, recoup myself in while still playing the same game. Like I could go to the single player content and relax and enjoy that, and then come back to the multiplayer combat after I've like had that time to digest past that process. But what ends up happening a lot of time is that I notice I'll play a single player game competitively on ranked or whatever, lose, get demoralized, and then I'll play a different video game and then I'll lose the motivation to come back to the fighting game. And I think that's where Street Fighter 6 has found the perfect balance. At least I won't know until I play Street Fighter 6. The aesthetic and how cool it looks attracted me to it. That's enough for me to play in rank mode and get as high as a rank as possible. And you're absolutely right about that. Yeah. Honestly, a great, not only a great art style, but like a great presentation of the game is everything too. Having something really cool can really bring people in. Which is something that I can relate to with certain other fighting games. Like there's another fighting game by the name of Them Fighting Herds, which is a really cool fighting game, but I never gave it a try, and I probably won't ever give it a try because of its actual design. It's a bunch of horses, like my pony horses, or not that. My Little Pony horses battling each other in a fighting game. Now, the fighting game is really cool. I've seen gameplay of it. It looks really dope. And the single player content looks very rich because it's got a good story mode. And it's even got like a dungeon mode where you can go online and like fight in these dungeons and battle for treasures over other players in an RPG, like top-down Zelda mode. And then you battle over, you know, over treasures in a versus mode style. And all those things sound really cool, but the aesthetic of Them Fighting Herds always put me away from the game. So I never gave it a try. And I do think that you're absolutely right, because like I think that Street Fighter 6 has such a really cool aesthetic design, but it's also really like stylish, and it's kind of universally pleasing. It's really smart. Drive Rush and Drive Impact alone sold me. Guilty Gear, Tekken, DNF doesn't have that. That is true. I do think that the Drive Rush and the Drive Impact mechanics are fantastic because of the fact that they're universal mechanics. It's currently my biggest complaint of games like Street Fighter 5, where the characters are so different that you basically have to relearn everything to the point at where it becomes so time consuming. And some people like that. I know that there are a lot of fighting game aficionados that really like hardcore diversity in terms of like each character is a distinctly different character to the point at where there's no mechanics that are, you know, alike. And I feel like Street Fighter 6 or Street Fighter 5 has a little bit too much of that. And I also kind of feel that way about Guilty Gear Strive, despite how easy the game is to play and how fun it is. I find myself unmotivated to learn other characters because I have to relearn the whole game because each character is so distinctly different in that game. While I think that the universal mechanics of Drive Rush and Drive Impact overlap so much with the characters and many other mechanics as well, that the learning curve for each character isn't time consuming, but you still have to learn the character. You still have to learn the complexity of the character. So the depth isn't lost, but the entry of barrier is still there. Or the entry of barrier is lessened. So the depth is still there. You can still like get better at the game and learn each character's nuance, but the entry of learning most of the characters isn't overwhelming. That's my analysis, my thought process. I know what I didn't want. Like I kept a close eye on a DNF duel for a while. And I knew that I was really interested in the game, but I never gave it a shot despite it being a $40 game. And the major component of the reason why was it had no content. I wasn't going to give the game a shot because I wasn't going to bother giving the game a shot because I didn't think there was much more beyond the multiplayer. And which I know that sounds a little hypocritical from me because of a game like King of Fighters 15 also doesn't have much single player content. But the thing is that I have more experience with King of Fighters games because I did grow up with them. So the learning curve process wasn't as daunting for me. And the gameplay mechanics are pretty universal once you learn them. So the learning process wasn't as overwhelming for me after a while. It still sucked in the beginning, but I did eventually figure it out. And it probably would have took me longer if I was a new player, like a completely brand new player. I would get destroyed in Street Fighter 5. I wouldn't be able to tech throw. I don't understand the V-trigger stuff. Yeah. You're not alone, and when it comes to like the comfort of tech throwing, there is like techniques that you can learn that help it make it easier if you're really interested in actually getting really good at Street Fighter 5. There's no reason to now that Street Fighter 6 is coming around, but if that was an interest for you, you would figure it out because you'd start looking up on videos and stuff like that online. But I think the reason why it's deterring for a lot of people is that the V trigger and the like all these other things are not really well explained in the game during its release. And even when it was explained, I don't think it was very engaging. I don't think the V-trigger stuff is very engaging for a lot of people because it's not a fun mechanic, and it's I think the issue with it is some V-triggers are better than others, but also like they're so distinctly different that you don't really even know what's going on a lot of time for like casual players, people that are not in the know about fighting games, that haven't had much experience with playing other fighting games. When they see two different characters do V-trigger, they have no idea that both of them are using the same technique, just that it just applies differently. They don't realize that both people just use V-trigger. So back to here again. I do want to mention though that like despite my like these things that we pointed out in cons with these other fighting games like Guilty Gear, Tekken, DNF, all them, they're all great fighting games. They're all fantastic as fighting games. I think what they're lacking is great video games in terms of like content, things to do, things to engage in, things that are fun. A DNF Duel would have sold me if it had more single player content. I would have been in. As a matter of fact, a couple of the fighting games that I'm most interested in is obviously we got Street Fighter 6, there's Tekken 8, and another fighting game that's really caught my eye right now that I recently started diving into is Grand Blue Fantasy Versus. They're having a new update of the game called Grand Blue Fantasy Versus Rising. And with that, I'm now interested in the game because they're having a bunch of new updates to the game for more single player content, but also some interesting things. Like they're bringing Fall Guys into the multiplayer of the game now, where if you're waiting for matches, you can just play Fall Guys on the game. So you have time, like when you're waiting in between matches to get to the next opponent, you can play Fall Guys. That's fucking dope. Yeah, no sense in playing 5 now. In Street Fighter 6, the tech windows and counter opportunities seem longer. I actually don't. I mean, the whiff counter, the whiff like punishing whiffs is definitely a lot easier in Street Fighter 6 compared to Street Fighter 5. But I don't know if the tech window is increased in that game. I think in my impression of the game, the more I played it, what I realized is that the game feels more intuitive. Like it makes more sense with the way the animations are structured and feel and play, that you intuitively know what you're looking at. You know intuitively that someone's going for a throw because the animations look so good and so clean that it just naturally feels like it's going in that direction. A lot of times I realize I make raw reads with throws or tech throws just because of the way that the movement in the game looks. And a lot of times in Street Fighter V, I get thrown off by certain things because the game looks, I wouldn't say it looks janky, but it looks a little rough around the edges because it is an old fighting game. And there are times where I get genuinely a little confused. But I do think there's a little bit of like, you know, upgrade in fidelity and upgrade in animations that plays a role into that, as well as like better visual cues and better like graphical cues that help kind of explain what's going on. I wouldn't say explain, but more like make sense of what's going on. In a little bit here, I'm gonna go ahead and start going through each of the character trailers for Tekken 8 because I want to watch them, and B, I think this game's gonna be fun. And next week we're gonna have a lot of information coming out about Street Fighter 6. There's supposed to be like a big plethora of fighting games that are coming out right now, and it really feels like a golden age for a lot of fighting games, and I'm really excited for that. Maybe it's because I think Street Fighter 5 is too fast for me. I can't see the visual cues in 5. It is faster. It definitely is faster to a certain extent. There are certain things in Street Fighter 6 that are faster than Street Fighter 5. For example, the drive rush mechanic makes closing the distance between you and your opponent a lot faster, so you can instantly like zip onto your opponent. That's where Street Fighter 5 is a little slower, but the animations are a little bit slower in comparison to Street Fighter 5. Now, what I think is happening, and this is just my interpretation of it, that Street Fighter 6 may slow down its animations, but there's more like actual animation cues. There's more visual tell to what's happening. But I think that Street Fighter 5 approached it more like an older fighting game mechanic, where it's the frames in the animations pop through a lot faster. And I think that can make it a little confusing and also difficult to see what's going on. A lot of times you're really playing. One of the things I'm noticing, and granted, I'm not a Street Fighter 5 aficionado. I'm not a player. Sure as hell not some top tier player. But one of the things that I noticed as a casual player for me was that it was hard to pick up on certain cues. Uh-oh. Stream will end shortly. Okay, that was weird. It seems like it's still in connect. Okay. Yeah. You can see the animations a lot smoother, and I think the animations in Street Fighter 6 just look better, and there's more tells to them. So there's King. Oh damn. Is this, I don't know why, but this visual looks a little fuzzy to me. Yeah, 720. There we go. Bring this up a little bit to 1080. Let's go ahead and start this back a little bit here. That looks a lot better. Uh-oh. Looks like my stream kind of freaked out for a little bit there. Yeah, okay. King and Jack are the only ones that interest me in T8. Understandable. What do you think about those two characters that you're drawn to the most? I know that King is a very popular character. People love King. They've always had a soft spot for pro wrestling. Is that a fucking RKO? Is that an RKO? Powerbomb. That was an RKO. That's an RKO. I think that might be inspired from the jackhammer, maybe. Oh, damn, man. That fireworks in the background, that's pretty fucking badass. Yep. You know. Nope. All right. Check out Ling Xiao Yu while we're at it too. I'm gonna try to binge watch all these while I'm at it. Everyone else moves look the same, just my opinion. And you're not wrong. A large component of the reason why a lot of characters' moves look the same in Tekken is because a lot of characters have overlapping techniques, because there's a lot of universal techniques in fighting games in general, as well as like martial arts. You know, there's a lot of basics that overlap, like jabs, straights, hooks, uppercuts. These are kind of universal techniques throughout a lot of martial arts. So, granted, some fighting styles have more unique approaches to these same techniques, but I do think that that's a large component to it. I noticed that in Tekken 8, they are adding a lot more like differentiating components, personality to character movements to kind of distinguish them from one another. Tekken 8 would be the only game I choose to be a grappler. Yeah, that would make sense. It would totally make sense. I mean, the grapplers in Tekken are some of the most like famous grapplers in fighting games, next to like Zangief. I will not lose focus. Oh my god. This character is gonna be a fucking menace. Oh, yeah, she's got that parry still. That rage art looked a little weak to me. That looked a little weak to me. Leroy Smith is a very popular character. Every character in Street Fighter 6 is unique and different compared to this. But I understand your point about the mechanics of Tekken. Yeah, and I think a big component to it is that Street Fighter 6, and Street Fighter games in general, they try very hard to distinguish their characters from one another. And in the Tekken games, because everyone has like 100 fucking moves, it's really hard to distinguish them all the time. So there does tend to be a lot of overlap. But also, there's also a lot of mechanics that you want to overlap for characters, so some characters have similar techniques to others. Because if like one character has a really good technique that no one else has, then it can make them incredibly broken. But at the end of the day, really what Tekken's really all about is the space control. It's all about space control. It's all about moving back and forth at the right times and then moving up and down at the right times. It's all about movement. Although this game may change that. This game may very well change that.
With this reveal the fighter, show me what you got.
This character is gonna be so popular. He's gonna be everywhere. Oh, the Wing Chun. Jesus Christ, he's still positive? I got the cane again. Hit confirm. He kills Law with his own move. Are you kidding me? He kills Law with the 1-inch punch. It's the same. He's literally the character that is inspired by the 1-inch punch. Oscar here. I think Law should had Leroy's moveset, lol. So Law is a practitioner of Jeet Kune Do, which is more Bruce Lee's fighting style. Wing Chun is Bruce Lee's old fighting style. So we're kind of seeing two very distinct fighting styles. Wing Chun is a very old traditional martial arts back from China. But there's still a lot of overlap between Leroy's 1-inch punches, though. There's a lot of overlap. They both use 1-inch punch as part of their repertoire. Is that a buff she's got? Is she buffed? I think she's got a buff. That might be a first I've seen in a Tekken game. Her character has an active buff. There's that low parry strike again. The Ip Man movesets. Oh, I'm so glad that you reference Ip Man. I didn't know for certain if you had watched any of the Ip Man movies, because that's clear. I mean, he's clearly, that is where they got their inspiration from. I do think that it's hilarious to me that Donnie Yen's involvement with the Ip Man series catalyst that fighting style into like the stratosphere. Like everyone now knows about it because of those movies. Which is crazy to me because there was this time period where I remember thinking to myself that the era of the golden kung fu movies, like the kung fu classic movies, are kind of over. I thought that for a while. Asuka's not a character I'm that interested in. She's cool and all, but I'm not that interested in her. But I did think for a while that the golden era of like kung fu classics was over, and then the Ip Man series came out and just shattered that thought process away. Granted, I'm starting to still think that because I haven't seen any more like new talent to replace Donnie Yen now that he's getting old. But we'll see. Speaking of law, try to get rid of the captions here. Oh my god, that drag, man. Ugh. Fucker roids. Damn. So that's something I really like going on here with this game. There's this drag effect. See how like Paul's legs are up in the air and his back like scrapes against the floor? That is a really cool like animation they added there to create this extension, because that's designed to be used with the drive or not drive rush, because it basically is a drive rush. What do they call it in this game? Heat dash. It's meant to be used with the heat dash, and so while their legs are up, you can extend the combo. And I like that animation because it just looks so natural, but it has this really powerful impact with their bodies like dragging across the floor. A little bit of blurriness going on in stream. Stream says it's 1080, but doesn't look 1080p. Let me take a look. It says that the conditions are excellent. So YouTube Studios is full of shit. I'm sure it'll get caught up in a little bit. And now one of the things I've noticed is this is actually a good experiment to test that out now too, which is fighting games do tend to struggle on stream because the movements in fighting games are so fast, which is why I'm thinking that when it comes to fighting games, if I decide to stream online matches, what I'll probably end up doing is streaming matches that are only at 720 at 60 frames per second. Possibly I'll try to keep it at 1080, but it might blur too much because of the movement. And I think that's a large component of it, because these, fighting games are really demanding. Oops, not what I wanted. Here we go. Nope. Brought me to Maximilian's channel. Here we go. That's my current speculation though, because I don't know for certain. Still learning as I go.
Get ready for the next battle. Tekken 8. New challenger. Jack 8.
Yeah, I figured as much that was the case, because again, fighting games are so fast, so much happens in a short amount of time. You got all this animation speed going on. Jesus, Jax's reach is insane. Wow. But I think it's friggin' nuts that this motherfucker has a railgun. As big as he is, he needs a railgun to whoop your ass. He's made out of fucking metal, and he still needs a railgun. This motherfucking cheating in tournaments with a railgun. Well, I'm probably going to finish up these next 2 videos, bud, and then after that, I'll be wrapping up for the day. This character is going to be very popular, too, because there's a lot of hype around her. This character's been gone since the second game. When you get a chance, go back and watch these Tekken trailers on this stream. Okay. Noticing she has these holy effects, like she's doing something. What is that? That's something I didn't notice. I never noticed it, but she has like all these special effects going on. She has a barrier. And does she have a move that's from Unknown? They're really showcasing that she has powers. Oh. Damn. All right, the last one is Lars. Out of curiosity, Lou, are you asking me to rewatch the trailers by chance, or are you asking me to watch a specific trailer?
Get ready for the next battle.
A line of rebellion?
New challenger.
I would be into Lars, but I hate his fucking hair. He got a really cool moveset, I just hate his hair. His hair looks like he's got like a bat on his head. I love that dragging of lightning on the feet. God's threat. I was told that was taken straight out of a Naruto game. There's some kind of joke. No, just check for yourself how the stream quality was. Oh, I get it. Okay. Got it. Perfect. Okay, we'll wrap it up from there. I'm gonna go ahead and nope. Change that real quick. Okay, much better. Yes, I actually do plan on rewatching this stream quite a bit and going editing through it, because I do plan to edit out certain sequences of this stream, download it, edit it out, and try to put some of this content that I have on here on my YouTube channel for recording purposes. and I will check through these videos so that way I can get a really good idea of like how the stream quality worked, especially like watching fighting game content on it, because it'll give me an idea of like what the visual quality was like. This was actually a great experiment in a lot of ways, because this will give me a lot of input about like whether or not this kind of stuff would work in 1080p 60 frames or 720 instead. But that it'll be very helpful in the process. The resolution on Lars and Jack's trailer felt like 480p. That's good to know that. That's fantastic to know that, because if that is the case, what I might need to do with fighting games in general is drop it down to 720 at 60 frames for fighting games, so that way it doesn't look as bad. Because that could be what's going on, is that the movement is so fast that the stream, even at 1080, can't keep up, and the pixels might be like, you know, pulling apart. I have heard of some tricks from some other streamers about running your resolution a little lower than 1080 in order to make that work, and I might try that out later to see how that works. If it does, I will let you know, and it'll be a good tip for the both of us. But yeah, I think we're gonna wrap it up here real soon, bud. Probably in the next like 5-10 minutes here. I'm gonna end the stream in a little bit here, but I want to take some time to say goodbye. I really appreciate you coming out to hang out with me for both Bloodborne and for these trailers. It's really dope that you did that. The showcase, a lot of fun talking with you, man. It's been a lot of fun. Let's see here. All right, man, no problem. I'll try to catch the next stream. I'll probably be streaming tomorrow. I'm thinking I will be roughly around early evening is what I'm thinking. Kind of similar time frame. And we're gonna be doing more Bloodborne. I'm thinking this weekend I'm gonna start experimenting with some fighting games. A fighting game on stream, and try to figure out the whole process with that over a period of time, and try to figure out what's a quality stream to work with. But yeah, it's been great having you here. I'm gonna wrap it up here. It's been fun. So I'll catch you around and catch you at the next stream. Peace out.